If you have a problem-free life, I would love to hear from you. My gosh. And if I could live a week in your shoes, that would be outstanding. But do you know what a life coach does? My next guest is an executive life coach, and she says everyone can resolve issues in their lives using simple coaching techniques. She's on hand to help you with some of your problems today. So if you've got a problem at work, you need some advice on a family issue, Shivani Mayer could be the person you need to speak to. Shivani, hello.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really, really good. Thank you for coming in.
Pleasure.
Tell us what a life coach does.
So there's different kinds of coaches.
Cool.
I'm a business and personal life coach. Essentially, I work with people not only with their problems, it's not just problem-centric, but yes, it definitely is challenges in their lives, whether that's they're having problems with a boss or they would like to change jobs, they hate their job. Two, they want to improve relationships with their family, they want to lose weight. They just feel like they're living a kind of a half-hearted life, and then there's a lot more to them. So I work with different people, different ages, backgrounds, and this isn't exclusively for people who are on the top end scale. Neither is it just for people who are rock bottom. It's for everyone in between as well. Right. And it's just to get them to stop really and to say, okay, so where are you in your life right now? Where do you want to be? And what's important to you? To help them to really kind of define their values in life, because I think many of us, and this is nothing to do with intelligence, a lot of people who are really smart in their lives, they're kind of in bad habits, or they're doing things that don't really serve them, and they're wondering, why am I unhappy? So we help them to address those situations, whether it's a challenge they want to overcome to a goal they're trying to achieve.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, let's see if you can give some advice to Ruby, who's got in contact with us. 81869 is the text number. You can also email nihal@bbc.co.uk or call us on 08459 440 445. Ruby, good morning.
Hiya, good morning. How are you?
I'm very well. Well, firstly, congratulations, because you only got married a couple of months ago. Is that right?
Yes, it's true. Yeah, June.
Now, this is a beautiful time to get married, of course, 2 months in. It should all be going swimmingly, but there's a little bit of a problem, isn't there?
Yeah, right now I really thought it'd be a honeymoon period, but it's nothing like that whatsoever. I've been having issues with my in-laws 2 weeks into my marriage. I've got a back problem that I've had for quite a while now. My back gave in 2011, and I had to have a major operation. I had lumbar fusion done.
Wow, okay, that's painful.
Yeah, it's quite bad. And it's always, with back operations, it's 50-50. It'll either work or it won't work. But unfortunately for me, I've still got chronic back pain. Before I got married, obviously, I made that clear to my husband. I made that clear to the in-laws. I also got my husband to speak to his mum and dad and make it clear that, look, you know, I have this issue, and there will be times where I might be bedbound, I might not be able to get up, I might not be able to do too much, but whatever I can do, I will do. I will try my very best. And that's exactly what I was doing. But 2 weeks into the marriage, my back gave in again, and I was in hospital. For some reason, it was a huge shock to my mother-in-law. And from then, she started treating me completely differently. She obviously knew that I was on medication for my back, and it's quite a strong medication I'm on because I've had this problem for so long. So, you know, I've even been on morphine for a while. But when she found out I was on the medication, she wasn't very happy about that. On top of that, I actually was on antidepressants, and that was from my divorce. After my divorce, I started my antidepressants, and I've been on them since, and it kind of helped me just stay emotionally stable. And, you know, I was lucky enough to find someone that understood all of that, and, you know, we fell in love and we got married.
Can I ask you, Ruby, and Shivani has been listening to every word that you've been saying intently, can I ask you, were your in-laws aware of your health issues?
Yes.
Fully aware?
Fully aware.
Right, okay. Okay.
fully aware. I made that clear because that's one fear I had. I didn't want to go into a family and then they turn around and say, oh, look at her, she's disabled and she's got this issue, because I am actually registered disabled now.
Right.
So I didn't want them to kind of, a lot of Asian families, they can have digs at you, and especially the older generation. I know how it works. So I made it very, very clear how it was. Unfortunately, for some reason, my mother-in-law believes that I didn't make it clear to her, and her son didn't make it clear enough. So she's been kind of verbally, emotionally abusing me to a certain extent by saying to me that, if only she knew, even though she did, if only she knew, she would never bring this problem into the house. Her son deserves so much better. Her son will probably run off with someone else, just like my ex-husband did. Why would anyone want to stay with someone like me, etc., etc. So she took me off my medication anyways after I came out of hospital, saying that, it's going to, because if I get pregnant, it's going to affect the baby. She doesn't want a cabbage for a grandchild. It was really, really hurtful. And she also said that she will make me have an abortion if I get pregnant.
So you've been married for 2 months and you've gone through all of that in 2 months?
Yep.
Right, okay.
Yep.
Well, let's bring Shivani in, Ruby, because I can imagine that you probably could go on and tell us, we could spend the rest of the show talking about the kind of grimness you've had to deal with in the last 8 weeks. But Shivani, you've listened to Ruby. What would you like to say to her?
Good morning, Ruby.
Morning.
So, as Nihal said, obviously there's a lot going on here, and kind of what I would say to you first of all, this is almost an agreement thing between me as a coach and you as the client to today. Is that I invite you to be open and to see where this goes, and not try and make any expectations of this conversation. Does that work for you?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Awesome. Okay, so, and I might chuck a few hunches and things out there, so take or leave them, okay?
Okay.
So it sounds like you're in a perspective, okay? So this, at the moment, the topic sounds like my marriage, and the perspective you've got around it is there seems to be an obstacle everywhere I turn. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. So let's try on a different perspective for a second, okay? So are you able to move around while you're talking to me?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. Okay. So I want you to just turn 180 degrees wherever you're standing and tell me what you see in front of you.
I'm sit on the balcony. I can see a view.
Okay. All right. Is it a beautiful view? Is it a kind of city view? What are you seeing?
No, it's just some houses and stuff. Not much.
Okay. So what if this perspective around your marriage at the moment is around this idea of not much? There's nothing happening right now. What does that bring up for you when you think of that perspective? So you're changing your viewpoint for a second.
I don't know how I could change my view in that sense, because there is so much happening.
Yeah, just for the sake of playing and being creative. Okay, so we're tapping into your right hand side of the brain, which is your emotional, creative side. For a moment, we'll come back to the actual bigger issue. But just for a second, just think about those houses for a minute. And imagine all of those houses had a different story to tell around, for instance, your marriage. What house are you gonna pick? Which one comes in front of you that kind of strikes, that kind of comes to your attention in your view?
There's a really, really small house.
Yeah. Okay.
Right in front. Yeah.
So you've chosen a small house. So what are you noticing about even the house that you've chosen in this whole view of houses? You've chosen a small house. What do you notice about what you've chosen just now?
It seems cozy.
Mm-hmm.
Small, cozy, and I'd love to have that house.
Yeah. And can you notice how the energy's changed from, like, I can hear a real value for you is intimacy and closeness and almost this kind of cozy sense of family being brought together. So I just want you to imagine that in that house for a second, that there's a conversation being had with you, your mother-in-law, or maybe your husband there as well. And imagine that this conversation is exactly the way you want it to go. No problems involved, no barriers in the way. What do you notice about that conversation if it was going the way you wanted it to?
I would love for them to be more understanding about my health. My husband is, but my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, I wish they would kind of realise that I would do the world for them
Yeah.
if they allow me to, but just, give me some time to rest here and there, and don't expect so much from me, because I do have a health issue. I am disabled, and I just need them to understand that.
Good. So just stick with that. I can really hear your bravery in actually what you're asking for is for them to give you some time to rest and to recuperate and just to recover a little bit, and that you will continue to serve them and do the most for them.
Of course, yes, of course I would. I still do, even with the pain. I wouldn't stop, because, I'm not traditional so much, but I want to be a good daughter-in-law. I want to be able to do all those things.
Mm-hmm.
But I just need, rest here and there.
Good. So just tell me, what does rest, if you were to have a day, if Ruby was to have a day, 24 hours of rest, okay? So this is nothing in your way, this is just rest. What would Ruby be doing in 24 hours of rest?
Firstly, I couldn't. I couldn't sit still. I'm the type of person that has to be doing something. But it's just those in-between breaks I need, just to either lay down for half an hour and take a breather, or sit down and just make sure my back is just okay before it gets too worse and I'm in bed for the next day.
So I just want to articulate something that you've just said. Okay, you've asked for breaks from your mother and father-in-law, and then when I asked you if you had 24 hours of undisturbed rest time, and you jumped in and said, "Oh, I couldn't do that. I'd have to do what I'm doing, but I'd have to take in between breaks." So what's true about you not letting yourself take a rest?
They won't let me.
Okay, so they won't let you. So I want you to imagine that they will let you. Just for a second, this is hypothetical. I appreciate that. It's not the reality for you right now. But let's say they agreed and there's a 24-hour period of just you resting. How would you feel about being given 24 hours?
It would be amazing. It would be absolutely amazing. I would be so grateful. I'd be so grateful for that understanding, really.
So Ruby, here's my challenge to you now. In coaching, there's 3 kinds of homework or challenges. There's one is an inquiry, which is like a question that we ask our clients to mull over a period of time just to get their creative juices and solutions going. The second is a request, so it's something that, is easy enough to do. And the third is a challenge. Now, this is normally the thing that makes people's, backs prick up and say, what? I'm not doing that. So, but you have 3 options to this challenge, okay? You can say, yes, I'll do it. No, I won't, or as a counter offer. All right. So you choose. This is not me telling you. I'm not a consultant. I'm not an advisor. I'm a coach. So here's my challenge to you. My challenge is that you pick a time to sit with your mother-in-law over a cup of tea and you ask her directly, Mum, I would really like to have one day of rest. This is what it would mean to me. Can you do that for me?
Yes, I could. I already have. I've already actually sat down with her and told her, please, Mum, please don't speak to me the way you do. Please don't say these things to me. Please don't expect so much from me. Not exactly can I have one day of rest, but I have, tried to address the issue with her.
So great. You've already, it's awesome that you've already had an initial conversation, but there is a difference between please don't do this to me and please don't ask this of me and I'm requesting some time just to rest. Can I have that? Can you see this? There's a very slight difference, but it is distinct. So you're asking for what you need on one side, and you're telling your mum what you don't want from her. Can you see the slight difference?
Mm-hmm.
So, how would you, in terms of asking her this time, I would like you just one day of rest, and this is what it would mean to me. This is what I would get from it. What do you think would be different about that way of asking, as opposed to, Mum, please stop, saying these horrible things to me, or stop putting me under pressure?
I'm not 100% sure. I mean, she surprises me all the time, but from what I know of her, she'd probably be quite annoyed and have a very, bad look on her face and kind of tut and not be very happy. And
so, Ruby, you know your mother-in-law, well, in the sense of you've spent some time with her, so you know kind of what her characteristics are. Absolutely fair. Yeah. And what you've also done there is, and we all do this, by the way, is we make assumptions about how people will react. And what you've just said, which is great, is that your mother-in-law always surprises you. So what would be a surprisingly great outcome? Like, how would you like her to react? to you asking for 24 hours?
Again, it's the same with, I'd love it if she was understanding. I'd love it if she'd be like, okay, Ruby, I understand that you've got these issues. You go have your rest and come back down and do whatever later on, instead of getting all upset and moody and then after that having a go at me.
Yeah. And so I want you just to take a deep breath and just take this all in. I know this is a lot for you and you sound like you've already done loads already. But so what I'm hearing you say is, I don't want to ask my mum just yet about the rest. It sounds more like you need to get connected with the positive sides of your mum, like the kind of parts of her that you know are loving and that you know are compassionate and caring. So I'm going to tweak this.
Sorry, could I just say, it's really hard for me to do that when she's said things like she doesn't want me and I'm a mistake and my husband will leave me and it will be, when she's said so many horrible things to me, how is it possible for me to try to have a relationship with her? She said stuff like I talk funny and I act weird and all these kind of things. And every time I'm with her, I think, am I talking funny? Am I acting weird?
If you were to say to her, uncensored, okay, knowing that your relationship would be intact with your husband and that actually your mom may learn something from you, if you could uncensored say what you need to say to her about how she's making you feel, in one sentence, what would you say to your mum if she could hear you now and she wasn't offended?
Heartbroken.
You're heartbroken. Yeah.
Heartbroken. Really heartbroken. I'm completely heartbroken.
Yeah, I can really hear that too. And so here's your heart here that's broken.
Where's your husband in all this, Ruby?
He just listens. That's it.
Okay,
he
right.
knows what's going
have
on.
you told him you want him to do more than listen?
Yep.
And he fails to do that?
Yes.
What does your heart want? If your heart could speak right now, because actually, and this might sound to you like something a little bit out of a movie, but your heart say a lot of things to us along with our brains. So if you were and you might want to do this, just kind of put your hand on your heart for a second and just, I can feel my heart beating quite fast now. I'm guessing that's what's going on for you. It's just listen to it just for a second. What does your heart, Ruby, want from this situation?
You know what? I actually wish I never got married.
Mm-hmm. So there's some regret. What else?
I really think I would have been better off living my life alone and not have people say anything about my health, and that I'm lucky that someone took me in. And
that's just extraordinarily cruel and ridiculous.
Mm. And
I mean, it shows what an extraordinary person you are, Ruby. Mm-hmm. The fact that your husband fell in love with you and accepted all of that, everything else that's actually on the periphery of who you are as a person. It doesn't affect who you are as a person. But it's an amazing testament to who you are and how extraordinary. Now, Ruby, do you feel as though, I mean, you've only been married something like, 8 weeks, 9 weeks.
I know, yeah, it hasn't been long at all.
And you were with him for how long before that?
Since November last year.
Right.
And I think maybe, Ruby, here, what's really clear, and Nihal just said it as well, is that there's loads of pain here and there's loads of regret, and you say you're heartbroken, you really hear that. And you know something, there is, and that's real, okay, that's a real part of you, but there's also a really courageous part of you as well. Like sitting right next to that pain, that's also got something to say to you. Like there's some wisdom in there too about, you and about what's going on right now. So if you can really try and look deep just for a second, what's the wisdom in you?
Well, right now I actually feel like I can't actually even think right now. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. So maybe the wisdom is that you just need a bit of a break from all this thinking. Actually, sometimes we can get ourselves into a real panic. We think and we assume and we judge ourselves. And it sounds like maybe the wisdom here is to kind of park all this extra thinking.
Do you know what, Ruby? What might be interesting is actually to leave your husband in the room with the iPlayer and listen back to this show. And
I
then
would highly recommend that too.
And then actually afterwards, you'll probably get your answer. Because him hearing you articulate it to a stranger will perhaps give him more of an idea. Because us men, Ruby, and I speak this from a male, we aren't the sharpest tools in the shed, to be fair. And also, to be fair to us as well, is that when we are faced with our wife telling us problems, when we act upon it, we'll be told off because she just wanted us to listen. And when we don't act on it, we discover that you did want us to action it. But we were thinking, well, last time I did that, you said, I just want you to listen. I don't need you to come up with a solution. So we do find ourselves sometimes, Ruby, us men, because as I said, we're not the sharpest tools in the shed, not really picking up on the vibes. But maybe if he listens back to this last 20 minutes or so, you might get your answer.
And I'd also add to that for you to listen to this, Ruby, because, it's been really brave of you to come on air and to share this story with Nihal and I, knowing that, we don't know you. And there is that bravery of you saying, I need to do something. I need to look after myself here. So yes, your husband should listen to this. I'd also say you should listen to it as well. So you can kind of hear yourself say these things. But what's really important for you to understand is that when we go through our life, there's we need to be clear about what we want and about what we're trying to do, because if we're not clear, the rest of the world misunderstands us. And it's like, well, I don't know what you want. So it sounds to me like there's a lot of undiscovered emotion, and also what do I want out of this coming from you? I know you say you've had conversations with your family, which is such a great step already. But it's important that you start getting clear on what you want from the situation. So I'm going to leave you with this question. And I really want you to kind of go and get a coffee or a glass of wine or whatever you want to drink at this time of the day, and just spend 20 minutes on your own in a place that is just you and your thoughts, okay? And I want you to answer this question. This is an inquiry. It's, what do I really want now? Not tomorrow. But there's no excuses, no defenses. This is just you thinking. This may or may not happen. But I want you to start getting really clear on what you want from yourself, your husband, your in-laws. Will you do that?
Yes, I will.
Well, look, Ruby, unfortunately, we're going to have to cut it short there. But
I'm sorry I took up
no,
so much
good
time.
grief. No, don't listen. Look, these are complex issues. We can't just speak to you for a minute and go, well, look, everything's going to be fine, get to grips with it, it'll be all good. Because, of course, that's not the reality. So please do not apologise. What I would say is, sit him in a room in front of a laptop and say, I want you to listen to this from here, and leave the room. That's indeed, if, look, it's only 9 weeks in, but, if it feels like something worth saving, then do that, Ruby. All right? Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck
Take
to you,
care.
Ruby.
Be strong, Ruby.
Thank
you sound
very much,
strong.
both of you.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, Manny is on the line. Manny, hello.
Hi, Nihal.
How are you? Sorry to have kept you waiting, but as you can understand...
It's absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine. Thank you.
Well, tell Shivani what's going on in your life then, Manny.
Hi, Shivani.
Hi, Manny.
Hi. My life has gone a bit very complicated for the last 5 months or so. I've got a very good family, actually, small family, 2 kids and a wife. And due to these little things, everyday life, actually, we split it, actually. So my wife has actually filed for divorce now. And there's no major reason, actually, why she filed for divorce. And I'm not 100% sure what to do and what not to do, actually. And a couple of months ago, she wanted to take the application back. And then after a month, she said, no, it was better us to be split, actually. We fight arguments too much. And I love my family to bits, actually. That's the thing. I've come on air, actually. She might be listening or not. I'm not sure whether she is. I just wanted to tell her I want my family back. Is it too late, or is it
Well, we can't
not
only.
sure.
There's only one person that can answer that question, and it's neither of us, Manny.
Absolutely.
But Shivani, what do you think?
Manny, well, first of all, thank you for coming on. And just so, as Nihal said, this is kind of speed coaching, so we're not able to kind of go too deep, but we can kind of get started on some thinking for you. So your question was, what should I do?
What should I do? I can't concentrate on anything nowadays. That's the thing. Can't concentrate. Just miss my kids all the time, night, morning, afternoon. Although I do work a lot, actually. That's the thing. That's one of the reasons I work hell lot of hours, which is one major factor of we split it.
So there's the kind of the time factor, and it sounds like just the pressure of marriage is built up.
Can I ask you what you do for a living, Manny?
I run my own fashion line. I've got a little transport business as well.
Right.
Basically, I'd work 150 hours a week.
My gosh. Right.
So, Manny, with that 150 hours a week, where's the time left for you and your family?
There isn't. And you won't believe
150 hours a week.
Big myself actually up as well. As soon as I come back from my transport courier company, I go back to my studio to start dealing with my customers, private customers, or tailoring customers. That's what I do. And come back from there, spend some time, a couple of hours with the kids, and that's it, go to bed.
Well, I mean, Manny, you've answered your own question in many ways, isn't there? Because you know and I know, and we don't need Shivani to say that you've admitted it, that you can't keep a marriage going, Manny, if you don't ever see her.
I think the analogy, Manny, I want to kind of present to you and think about this. It's almost like a bucket, okay? So your life is a bucket. And in this bucket, you've got massive rocks, which are your work. Yeah. 2 massive rocks in this bucket, your career and your fashion stuff. And then you've got all of kind of the general to-do things that you need to wake up, eat your breakfast, travel, that's the sand. And it's full to the top, Manny. Like, where is the space in your life bucket for your kids and your family? Like, where is that space? Is there any space?
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm willing to leave everything now. See, that's the thing. It's too late for me to realize that.
But she warned you, Manny. I doubt she... I'm sure she warned... How long have you been married?
8 years.
And that's the same as me, mate. Just 8th anniversary was day before yesterday. But Manny, she probably warned you a few times, didn't she?
Yeah, not a few times. Number of times, actually.
Number of times. And you didn't do anything about it, did you?
Couldn't do it. I wanted to put things in line. Things were shaping up very nicely for the last 7-8 months. But for the last 7-8 months, I involved into business even more, actually, in order to put somebody who can take some hours off me. But, that made things even more worse, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, no, agreed. It's very difficult to find the right
so you're in the situation now where you say, is it too late? Who knows? But I think my take on it is it's never too late to try. So let's imagine that you could prove to your family and your wife that actually you've got real space for them in your life. So what needs to change, Manny? What needs to come out of that bucket in order to make space for your wife and your kids?
Well, I'll call her. She doesn't pick up my phone. We only communicate in text. Sometimes I don't reply. Sometimes she doesn't reply.
So just for the sake of time, I'm just going to pause you, and I'm going to say the question was, what do you need to change in your life? Like, what do you need to take out of that bucket for your wife to see? There's space for me now. There's space for the kids now. What needs to come out?
Some more time for my family.
So specifically, like, how much time do you think would be enough time per week for your family?
There's not enough time. There's no limit. That's the thing as well. I want to spend time, as much of the time I'd like to spend with them. That's the thing. And
I can really hear you saying, like, this isn't just I want them back. It's like, I want to spend time with them. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So with this want and this desire to want to spend time with your family and your wife, you have to, it's almost like you can justify and you can hold up the billboard and say to your wife, look, I'll make time for you, I promise, or, come back. Or you can spend that time really making space again for her and the kids so that if they come back, there's already that dedicated time to them. So give me a number, Manny. Like, let's come down to hardcore facts. You're a businessman. How many hours do you think is adequate for your wife and for your kids per week?
Oh, maybe
how many?
One whole day actually with the family. One whole day with the family.
24 hours. 24 hours.
Yeah. But is that realistic, Manny?
It is, yeah, it is, yeah, it is.
Okay, so 24 hours per week?
per week. Yeah.
Okay. Does that need to be one whole hour shot, or can it be spread over time?
It has to be spread over time and one whole day with the family as well. An entire day, like Saturday or Sunday, we can have a
So you
family
can
day.
I'm just interested to see how this breaks down. How old are your kids, Manny?
Same as yours, actually. One is 7. She's turning 7, my daughter, and son is 2.5.
Right. Okay. So not totally different. So one's at school, one's at home all the time, or at nursery.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And they have to be in bed by probably what, 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Yeah, maximum 8 o'clock, late to late.
8 maximum. So if you wanted to spend roughly 3 hours a day with them, you'd have to be at home from 4 o'clock at the earliest, at the latest, sorry, every day.
Yeah.
Now, is that realistic while running two businesses? I mean, I'm just trying to see, because
I think no, absolutely. I mean, you make a good point in regards to realism, and I think what I'm keen for Manny to do is to, let's put it like this: your children aren't ever going to say, "Daddy spent 24 hours with me," are they? What they're going to say is, "Daddy helped me brush my teeth," and
Daddy played Lego with me.
Daddy helped me with fed me my breakfast. So actually the time is irrelevant. You can spend an hour with them, but if that hour is your full attention and your full love and support,
phone off.
That's what, phone off, laptop off. That is what your wife and that is what your kids will remember. I can guarantee that much. So I was curious to know how dedicated you are to your family, and what I'm hearing you say is, I'm super dedicated. So much so that I'm prepared to give it up. Now, here's the thing, is that you don't need to give up your work life for your family, and you don't need to give up your family for your work life. There's a balance to be made here. So there's going to need to be a compromise, okay? So let's just say that you could have it any way you liked in the week, and I appreciate this is kind of visionary thinking here. There may not be some realism because only 24 hours in the day. Appreciate that. But let's say you had a perfect week with your wife, kids, and work. Give me really bottom line how that would look like Monday to Sunday.
Yeah, I'd get up quite early, actually. You won't believe I'll get up 4:30 in the morning.
Okay.
That's the thing, and come back about 5 o'clock. That's sort of my everyday routine. Even if I push it too much, then I can come about 4:30 afternoon. That's the thing. Before that, I can't come. Then I'll take my kids to park and play with them every day. That's all. I'll take them swimming, take them to park every other day. I spend too much time with kids that I know I'll spend hardly any time with my wife.
Yeah. So let's imagine that day you've taken the kids, that you've gone to work, the kids have gone to the park, they're washed, they're cleaned, maybe they're with babysitters or with someone else. So what would be like a romantic evening with your wife? Let's say you could sweep her off her feet, rekindle some of that flame. Where would you take her?
I would take her to a nice diner or even nice bar. Maybe she's into clubs as well. I can take her. We can both go to clubs.
Mm-hmm. I can hear a smile on your face.
Sorry?
I can hear a smile on your face. What's that about?
Yeah. I can see her face actually in front of me now. She's smiling. That's the thing. I'm taking her out and all that. But I know I've been sounding so sarcastic now.
No, not at all.
Do you know what, Manny? I've got to say, I really feel for you because, of course, when you were doing that 150 hours a week, you were doing it for them, weren't you?
That's true as well. See, and she thinks that money is everything to me. Money, and that's what it is. I've come across anyway. It's not her fault.
Is that true? I mean, just say it as it is. Is money everything to you?
It's no. Money
what is everything to you? So money is an important part.
Are you materialistic, Manny?
You have to be materialistic as well. You see, I want to put best things for my kids. I want to give them a private education, take them around the world and all that things.
So going back to the original point is, will your kids remember that 5-star cruise that Dad took them on, or will they remember that time that you spent with them on their birthday and it was dedicated, non-distracted dad time? Honestly, what do you imagine they will remember?
Quality time with me, actually, even if it's inside the home, that's the thing.
And guarantee that kids do not remember stuff. Yes, it might be a highlight of their day for a short time, but actually what they remember is the love and support they get from their family. And actually, there's a misconception. There's a lot of people who believe that it takes a lot of money to show love, affection, and that's not true. Not to say that money can't, make for a lovely day or a lovely present. But my challenge to you is this, Manny, is to brainstorm 100 things. This is 100 things, okay, that you can do to show your wife how much you care about her. And same with
She
your
lives too
kids.
far. She lives in
Okay,
Bradford.
sure.
I live in
But so
Nottingham.
not to tell her, but this is just for you. This is you coming down to some home truths about what you would do. So forget you're telling your wife for a second, just you. Will you spend, let's say, 20 minutes again to brainstorm 100 things you would do with your wife that don't involve money and 100 things you would do with your kids that don't involve money to show that you care about them, to get some quality time? You can say, yes, I'll do it. No, I won't, or counter offer.
Of course, yes, I'll do it, yeah.
Yes, I'll do it. When will you do it, Manny?
From now.
Today? Will you do it today?
Already.
Oh,
Today,
good.
now, yeah.
Good. Will you email us the 20 things or one thing that you would love to do for your wife and for your kids? Will you email it into the show?
Yeah, sure.
What's the email address, Nihal? So we've got that.
Nihal@bbc.co.uk.
Nihal@bbc.co.uk.
So, Manny, this is not a solution to the situation, but there's something about what you're saying, which is, I want to make a difference. I want to make a change. And where that change has to start with is you. You can't kind of send a report to your wife and say, look, this is what will happen. You have to be that change, like for real. You have to show it. You have to get your mindset in a different way. And don't ignore the fact, and Nihal put it down, actually, you worked very hard for your family. And that shows how much dedication you have to them. And there's something here around looking at what dedication actually means. Does it mean how much money you bring to the table, or does it mean how much love and time you can give to your family? And that's where you need to get clear.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Manny, look, best of luck. I really feel for you, man, because you've worked really, really hard for your family, but perhaps along the way, you've probably lost sight of the really important things in life, perhaps, and your wife probably tried to remind you of those a couple of times. I know what you're talking about, Manny, because I went through it myself and nearly lost my wife in the process. So, these are important lessons that we have to learn, but thank you.
The sound of Asian Britain. On digital TV, online and on your mobile. This is BBC Asian Network.
As you've probably just heard, we don't do things by half, and Shivani definitely doesn't either. And that's why in about half an hour we just covered two problems. We are going to keep Shivani along. You stick around with us, won't you, for another couple of 10 minutes? Yeah. Brilliant. After that, we'll be asking, would you pay extra not to sit next to a screaming baby on a flight? An airline is offering passengers the option to upgrade to seats in a quiet zone where children are banned. Good idea or not? Well, lots to discuss, including what we were talking about in the first hour. So we've got three different things to discuss. We've only got an hour to do it, and we've got the amazing news coming up with the equally wonderful Sonal Patel.
BBC Asian Network News.
Downing Street's confirmed the government's drawing up contingency plans for military action in Syria. It follows US accusations that President Assad's forces were behind a chemical attack which killed hundreds of civilians, something the government there denies. Walid al-Muallim, Syria's foreign minister, he's implied that the rebels bombed themselves.
I denied utterly and completely to carry this issue. And I say there's no country in the world who use an ultimate destruction weapon against his own people.
The latest on Syria coming up on Asian Network reports. Also in an hour, police are investigating an arson attack on an Islamic centre in Essex. Detectives are looking for 3 people after CCTV footage showed them at the site in Harlow on Sunday night. This is the latest in a number of attacks on Muslims in recent months, including bomb attacks on 3 mosques in the West Midlands. Fiaz Mughals, the director of Tel Mama, which monitors anti-Islamic attacks in the UK.
Some of the prosecutions recently have had people given warnings. Sometimes they've actually been given very light sentences. We need to have a very robust public outlook. In other words, if you do this against a faith institution, you're going to go down for a long period of time.
An investigation's underway into offensive DVDs sent to Islamic organisations over Eid. The videos are amateur in nature and contain a mix of insults to the Prophet Muhammad as well as pornography. To India, where there are worries over Sonia Gandhi's health. She was taken ill late yesterday while debating the country's landmark food bill. The plan is to provide subsidised food, mainly wheat and rice, for hundreds of millions of people. It was passed by the lower parliament yesterday. Nitin Srivastava's in Delhi for Asian Network.
Sonia Gandhi has actually been one of the most vocal supporters of this plan. And yesterday in Parliament, there was an intense debate, and Sonia Gandhi actually spoke for quite some time. In the evening, there were reports that she was not well, and doctors in the morning said that she's absolutely fine. They've conducted all tests and
there's more from Nitin at 1. Also on the programme, we're staying with India and hearing about a new campaign to persuade people not to use skin lightening creams. It's called Dark is Beautiful. It's being spearheaded by Bollywood actress Vaishakhi Singh. Skin lightening products are big business in India. It's something Nihal's been taking your calls on this morning.
This is what we're portraying to our young people and saying, and girls in particular, saying, if you look like this, if you have light skin and you have light eyes, you're more likely to get married than, say, someone who's darker.
Fair skin color or the white skin color, it is ingrained in the Asian culture. And I think we need to look at how we can eradicate that. And also, it's highly racist.
Sport now, cricket, and Pakistan are batting first after winning the toss in the first one-day against Zimbabwe in Harare. A short while ago, they were 236 for 7. That's after 49 overs. Misbah Huq is on 75 not out. Football, it's all about Rooney and Mourinho. The Chelsea boss has given the Man United striker an ultimatum. He's been given 48 hours to decide whether or not he wants to come to Chelsea. The two teams met at the weekend in a 0-0 draw. That's all for now. I'm back with Asian Network Reports at 1.
On digital TV, online and on your mobile. BBC Asian Network.
Interesting. I'm joined by Shivani Mayer, who is a life coach. Shivani, tell us about these kind of flash mobs that are going on. Tell us about this.
So when I started my certification journey as a coach, because I've been training for 2.5 years and running my own practice for 3, I kind of saw that there was a lot of power in not only seeing people being coached, but also these short blips. We've just had an example of that with the previous callers, Ruby and Manny, that there's a lot more to obviously talk about, but actually in short bursts of asking powerful questions and getting people to look at different choices they have and living in the now. I thought, there's so many people out there who will never have access to coaching, who will never get access to this kind of conversation because of money or they don't believe in it, whatever. So I thought, being a presenter kind of by trade previously, I thought there's something in here. So I started going out into Birmingham, into London with the camera crew and just stopping people and saying, I'm giving free coaching for 10 minutes. Do you want to have a go? And people were like, what? Are you a religious group? Are you trying to, convert me into something? It was all that nonsense. But I said, no, I'm just giving something away for free because I value the skill that I have. And as a result, people were just, so excited to be seen, to be heard, that people were saying, I can't believe that just stopping in my life and running around to work and getting a bit of clarity where I am, that's all I needed. So I thought, this is amazing. And before I knew it, I put the film on YouTube and it got hits from around the world. People were contacting me from the US, Australia, Japan, India, Europe saying, oh my God, can we do this? Can we be involved? Before you know it, I was doing the first ever coaching flash mob at the International Coach Federation Conference, which is an annual coaching conference around the world, in London in October. And it was that sense of, wow, I'm not the only one. There are amazing coaches out there who can do the same. So before you know it, I started the Our People's Coach Flash Mobs, which is a social action initiative. And we have gone around London in our, we're certified coaches. I train them. I get them out onto the street. Often it's a secret location. We've done like in Marble Arch, Embankment, Camden. Wow. And we've just stopped people. We've coached homeless people, executives, tourists, families. At one point I was coaching a woman. My colleague was coaching her daughter and my other colleague was coaching her brother because it happened to be in London and they were talking about coaching that day. So the whole idea of flash mobs is certified coaches have been trained by me and a volunteer team to bring that amazing skill they have to people in society who may never get a chance to ever look at themselves in this way. And the results have been absolutely amazing, like overwhelming. I coach a 74-year-old ex-head teacher who still emails me today and says, I'm still inspired by our conversation. I've learned so much and I'm passing this on to other people. So this is philanthropic, maybe charitable, whatever it is, it's humans making powerful human connections, and we're doing that through coaching.
Okay.
And we've got 3 coming up in November.
Yeah.
On the 27th, 28th and the 30th.
No one will remember that now. So where's the website where people can find out?
Thank you. Very good point. So their website is
November's an age away, isn't it?
It is, although it feels like it's coming
It will
fast.
come very, very quickly. There's no doubt about it. Yeah.
You can check all the information out, www.creativeby people's-nature.com. That's my website, Creative by Nature. And on there, you'll see the Our People's Coach site, the details, the dates. We're not telling everybody where they are just yet. There will be 1 secret location and 2 publicly known locations. So if you want to come and get free coaching, these are some of the best coaches in the country. And we're the second from America in terms of how professional our coaches are. So this is our give back. And actually, it's so exciting because we're actually making real change. This isn't theoretical. This isn't just feel good factor. People are actually going away and getting jobs, changing relationships, changing the way they see themselves, losing weight. And not all necessarily in just the 10-minute sessions, but something has been unlocked in those sessions where people are saying, you know what, I'm sick and tired of leading a half-hearted life. I'm sick and tired of living in other people's beliefs of how I should be or how the world should be. I want to create my own destiny, my own future. And that's what I believe in. And that's, I guess, why my tagline is life isn't about finding yourself, it's about creating yourself. Because I really believe we all have the ability to create what we want.
Okay, thank you. We have a few more texts and emails. I'm worried, though, that we've only probably got 2 minutes or so left with you, and to ask you to answer any of these in 2 minutes.
Give me a shot. I'll chuck some ideas at them to think about.
Right. Well, Janine said, I suffered the loss of my dad. He killed himself 2 years ago. I suffered post-traumatic stress as a result, and it has made my studies and everything suffer, understandably. I struggle getting back to my old self as I don't know how to do that when I try. Either depression or the nightmares common with post-traumatic stress disorder catch up with me.
Okay. So the first thing I'd say is, again, wow, like you guys are seriously brave for sending this stuff in. First thing I say is in terms of my role as a coach, there are certain places that we can't go, or at least we're not as equipped, and this is kind of traumatic experiences. So I would definitely ask her to seek some professional counselling help. But in terms of from my point of view, the thing that came up for me, I imagine that she's very close to her father. And what just felt like the right thing to say was, what does your dad want for you? Like, your dad is, I'm sure, looking down and he's proud of you. What would he want for you in this situation? So I'd leave that idea with her and kind of come from that place in terms of, this is really hard and it's going to take a while for her to recover, and maybe she'll always be in pain. But to think about, if she could make her dad really proud, what would she be doing? So I'd leave that idea with her.
Okay. Losing weight. Can't stop drinking a certain caffeine-filled soft drink.
Okay.
Get depressed. I don't want to talk. Want to lose weight.
Yeah. And for a lot of people, comfort food is a way of kind of coping with a situation. So I think what I would, again, think about for her is, for him or her, I'm sorry, I wasn't sure if that was a guy or a girl.
It's anonymous, yeah.
Okay, is just to say, every time they're putting that drink into themselves, that fizzy drink, what do they imagine is going on in their body? So I want them to just, every time they take a sip, is just to think about what that could be doing to their body. And if they were to replace that drink with something that would nourish their body, that would give them some energy and some zing, what would be different in their life? Because I would imagine that much sugar is affecting them. I'm not a nutritionist, but I'm pretty sure that's true. So to think, kind of, not to go guilty or start feeling judgmental about themselves. They're obviously trying to, express something here. So it's to think about, okay, if their body is carrying them from A to B and is serving them, what would they like to nourish their body with if they could get away from fizzy drinks? And again, just to connect with that part of them that says, you know what, people know what they're doing. They're very aware. But sometimes we fall into these habits and go, that's just the way I am. But I don't know this anonymous texter, but I'm pretty sure to say that there's somewhere in you, there is an athlete. There is someone who thinks, very highly of their body. So try and tap into that wisdom in you.
Let's try and get one more in. Not sure life coaches can solve problems. It's all for money, I think. I've had CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, for major shock that my brother gave me when he created a fake will and named £500,000 worth of property in his name with all the deeds and bonds. He is a top high court lawyer in Delhi, so fighting a court case in India would mean me spending millions of rupees and waiting for at least 20 plus years. This happened when my beloved father suddenly died of cancer last year, and I've lost my mother on the 16th of March this year. I thought my brother and I were so close, speaking on the phone every day. I live in Scotland and he lives in Delhi. It's the shock of being backstabbed, dishonesty and loss of an entire family I cannot get over. I know entire Mahabharata was written 5,000 years ago over property issue and feud between families, but such unimaginable shock. Can Shivani help? That's from Vasant Sina.
Wow. Well, first of all, I'd say that it doesn't sound like you believe I can, because you said it at the beginning. And actually, not coaching isn't for everybody. I guess what I would say to that is that there's a real sense of pain and loss and betrayal here with what's going on for you. And it's almost, and if I'm going to be blunt and say there's a lot of accusations going on for you, and that's not to say none of these are true and that there is an absolute reality in what's happened to you. But when we live in the world of it's her fault, it's his fault, she did this to me, what ends up happening is it gets worse and worse, and we just attract that kind of behavior, whether it's our family or our friends. So as much as I hear there's a lot of stuff going on for you, is what maybe the question I'd ask you is how much of this are you calling into your own life because you're staying in that place of people are, you said at the beginning of your email, they're just, coaches are money grabbing and I've been betrayed. I wonder how much of your thought in the day goes towards doubting and being suspicious of people. So my challenge for you would be to note down how many times you are suspicious of yourself or anyone else around you, and just notice whether that takes up the majority of your thought process in the day.
Okay. And I think that's pretty much all we've got time for. Thank you very much indeed, Shivani. And please give us a little reminder again of your website.
Yeah, so the company's Creative by Nature, but what I'd love people to do is to get on board, get involved with the flash mobs. You can as an assistant or as a certified coach. www.creativeby-nature.com. and go on to the Our People's Coach part, where you'll see all pictures, the team, you'll see loads of testimonials from people who've been coached by the team. And get involved. We'd love you to get involved in any way you can, whether it's as an assistant, in-kind support, or just giving us your kind of love and support when we're out there doing what we do.
Perfect. Shivani, thank you very much for coming in today. Thank you for everybody that had the bravery to text and call in as well.
Absolutely.
And best of luck to Ruby and Manny in their lives, and I hope it sorts itself out. And Shivani, thank you for coming in. It seems like it's one of those things that we could have you in for the whole 3 hours, to be honest.
Don't wish that kind of thing. That's going to happen now.
I know. I'm sure people will ask for it. It's no doubt about it. 12:15. Let's get a bit more music. This is the track that...